Terry Talks with Terry Gillis.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Terry Talk where we're continuing our discussion about the great reopening, the back to normal, or the big reset. Can sort of sense that a lot of people are on holidays right now, but by September, we expect a lot of things will start to translate back into what we used to know as normal. And as much as the pivot back in March of 2020 was absolutely monumental, I think that we're about to experience yet another shift that could be maybe not as big, but it's going to have some profound impacts on our workforce. So the question really is, are we ready for that? Change was swift back in 2020. We need to be very cautious now, rather, on capitalizing on this opportunity. Especially, we've learned a lot of things. Here's the other rub that we're in a perfect storm. The demographic shift. It was starting to niggle at us a little bit in 2019. Remember ghosting? That was a topic back then. And we've got the demographic shift. We simply don't have enough workers around, coupled with this whole new world of work that seems to be out there and these nuances. No wonder there are so many reports right now of leaders that are wanting to quit. But more on that in a future Terry Talk. Let's talk about this great reopening that we're experiencing. The pandemic really introduced the whole concept of working from home. And why not? Why didn't we consider this before? Well, primarily because it just didn't make sense to us. But with the pandemic, we weren't left with choice for many, many different organizations. And so the question that I have is, does it make any more sense now? And what's resulted, of course, is a lot of confusion. So the benefits, we know these of people working from home, lots of benefits, decreased commute time. If you're in London, Ontario, where I am, just the mere fact you don't have to fight with trains crossing major intersections, that's huge. Or being on the 401 if you're in Southwestern Ontario, wherever you are, commute time's reduced. Flexibility in time at work and when you're at work. And there's been lots of reports of increased productivity, all of which are phenomenally wonderful benefits to working from home. But I think we need to make a distinction here. Remote work is an example. This is not new. This is a permanent way of working where you never ever come into the office. And there's lots of well-established norms for those that have had remote work jobs. Typically, these are individual contributors, not a lot of span across the organization, and up to and including and through the pandemic has worked really, really well. Working from home is more of a temporary type of solution. And this is exactly what the pandemic reaction was. Like when your kid gets sick and your employer should say, hey, listen, why don't you just stay home today, take some time, be with your kid, focus on that. Or you had an appointment. It was never meant to be a permanent solution. It's a temp solution. Lots of leeway, right? And we saw this during the pandemic. Kids and dogs, cats, and heck, even some people had a hard time putting on pants or in their pajamas for goodness sake. So now we've got the opportunity to get it right. Work from home is flexible working arrangements. And I think we need to put some caveats in place here. When you're working, you're working. You're not looking after the kids or walking the dog. Yeah, we had a lot of leeway at the beginning. We were in crisis mode. Of course we had leeway. We didn't know what we were up against. But when you look at the research on distractions, interruptions, multitasking, it is abundantly clear when you have a lot of that in your life, you're not as productive. So when the dog's barking or the kid's asking you to make them a grilled cheese sandwich, that takes away from their productivity. In my book, Desuckify Work, I talk about the importance of the contract, the psychological contract, or the unwritten contract is about value creation. So I think employees, you need to set the boundaries. If you need to look after a kid, that means that's not work time. That's your personal time, and you're going to have to flex your schedules at home. Employers, you're going to have to be open to that flexibility. Here's the rub. If you're an employee and you're expected to be in a meeting, if you're doing it through Zoom or Microsoft Teams, it means you're on that call. You're not looking after the dog or taking care of the kids. Heck, last week we had a coworker here. Summer camp got canceled. They brought their kid into work. They didn't have any other option. And that was nice to have them here. But they didn't bring them to the meeting that we had scheduled with them. Their child stayed in their office and did something. Not quite sure what they were doing. But they didn't come to the meeting. You shouldn't come to Zoom meetings either. So I think this means we need new policies and new guidelines as we move into this new world of work. Remote workforce, that's one set of policies. Work from home, that's another set of policies. And as we reset it, we stabilize our working worlds. Let's take the time. Let's get it right. You know, focus on what is your strategy? How does that impact your leadership? How does that impact the culture of your organization? And how does that translate into engagement? Fundamentally, we need to figure out how we work best and how we can build these policies and guidelines and these new working relationships that work best. Need a hand with that? Give us a call here at our terrific ideas. We'd love to help you out, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.